What is going on, guys? Welcome to Battlefield 5 on BlackTideTV. I'm incredibly excited to get the Battlefield year started with some open beta gameplay for you. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in during early access despite pre-ordering the game. About a month ago, I went into my local EB Games and I pre-ordered a ton of games, almost every appealing game for PlayStation 4 from now through February, including Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Spider-Man, which just came out, and I can't recommend it enough. I'll have some videos on that very soon. What else? Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, of course, Anthem in February. So there were a ton of games, and I got a ton of different codes, and I started entering all of those pre-order bonuses. The pre-order bonus for Battlefield 5 was early access to the beta. And I noticed that there were a couple different dates for the beta. Battlefield and EA and DICE, they're kind of really bad for this, but giving access to different players at different times, even when the game comes out, if you bought a special version of the game, it comes out 2 days earlier or something silly like that. But the beta had 3 different launch dates. There was an early access for special people, like content creators and developers and streamers or something like that. Then there was an early access, which is what I was supposed to receive for pre-ordering the game, which was 2 days prior to the open beta that anyone can play. So I downloaded my early access to the beta a month ago, and it's been sitting on my PlayStation 4, and it's like, ready to install the application. It was 100% downloaded, and it was just sitting there ready to install. So I assumed that when the early access started, it would automatically install and I could start playing. And then I saw that early access started, and I'm starting to see people covering the game, and I'm like, okay, mine's not working. It's not automatically downloading. When I went to manually download, it just said, searching the PlayStation Store for this application, and then it would be like, oh yeah, no, we can't find this application in the PlayStation Store. I'm like, yeah, because it's already downloaded on my PlayStation. But apparently I just couldn't play during early access, so my code didn't work, and I kind of got off to a bad start with the beta for Battlefield 5. Today, I'd like to discuss the worst parts of the Battlefield 5 beta. Of course, that early access is a tack-on, an add-on, an honorable mention, but I do have some in-game things that I'd like to talk to you guys about. And before either you or I get ahead of ourselves, I'd like to give you guys a concrete foundation as to where I stand with the Battlefield franchise. Being a channel with over 500 Call of Duty videos, I can already see the comment section before it happens with a lot of Battlefield hardcores telling me this or that because I'm not a Battlefield player. I played Battlefield 4 religiously, and while I didn't post a ton of content to the channel, it was some of my earliest content. Battlefield 4, there are roughly 20 videos on the channel. I wouldn't recommend you check them out. They're one of my original series, so it's pretty rough, it's pretty bad, and I wouldn't recommend it. I did come back for Battlefield 1 for the beta, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a beta video on the channel as well for Battlefield 1, but I was not having it. I was not interested in Battlefield 1. The beta felt off to me in a way that I can rarely describe. It just didn't feel like Battlefield. Coming from Battlefield 4, where I was incredibly interested in that game, and I played that game a lot. Battlefield 1 didn't feel the same, and so I passed on Battlefield 1, and Battlefield Hardline didn't interest me at all, and all I've heard is bad things from that game. So Battlefield 5 is my first time back with the Battlefield franchise since Battlefield 4, but trust me, I know the Battlefield franchise. I really enjoyed Battlefield 4. I did play Battlefield 3 as well, though not as much as Battlefield 4. I still think that Battlefield 4 is one of the better first-person shooters I've ever played. And Battlefield 5 is definitely a top contender this year, despite lower than average pre-order sales. You've heard the rumors of the pre-order sales competing with Call of Duty Black Ops 4. They aren't doing super well, and that is really unfortunate because I've been looking forward to this game from marketing day one. I've been on the Battlefield over Call of Duty for 2018 bandwagon. I thought that this game was going to outperform Call of Duty, and it wasn't until I finally played the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 beta that I realized, hey, Black Ops 4 is actually looking half decent. I had really low expectations for that game and very high expectations for this one, and I still stand by those expectations. I still stand by that Battlefield 5 looks incredible. It is the best looking first-person shooter on the market right now, in my opinion. This game looks so realistic and so visceral by comparison. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 almost seems fake or prosthetic. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't get that realism vibe that this game does. This game just, it makes you feel like you were in World War II. From the sounds to the visuals to everything, the gameplay, it's kind of, it's hectic and it feels like cramped almost. Like you feel like a soldier in World War II. And I love the experience of playing Battlefield 5. And when I first started playing Battlefield 5 in the open beta, I was a little concerned. I was like, this is, I don't know, this is kind of weird because I'm so used to that Call of Duty Twitch shooter type first-person shooter, and I hadn't played a Battlefield 5, or a Battlefield game, I should say, in a long time. But after a few hours, I started to get into the vibe, and I started to realize, wow, this game is actually incredible. It's super fun to play. And another thing I'd like to mention is that I am not a competitive Battlefield player. And this is how I view the Battlefield franchise versus the Call of Duty franchise. When it comes to Call of Duty, I'm incredibly competitive. I want to be the best. I want to have a great kill-death ratio. I want to win almost all of my games. Of course, that doesn't happen 9 times out of 10 due to teammates, but I try to do my absolute best in Call of Duty games. It's really important to me that I have a good score, that I am in the top however many people in the world. Like, I try really hard at Call of Duty. It's that type of game for me. Battlefield, in my opinion, is not that game. Because there are so many players and there is so much going on in Battlefield, 32v32, it's kind of hard to be the best. Of course, there are people that are incredibly competitive in Battlefield and they play this game religiously, like some might play Call of Duty. Like, I've been playing Call of Duty for a number of years now, but Battlefield to me is more of that casual shooter, that casual shooting experience where you just clock in a few hours. You just come in and you play, you hang out with your friends, maybe get a squad together, and you start going off and you're defending one particular objective in the map. Rather than trying to cover the whole map and trying to dominate your opponent, you're just like, okay, we're gonna hold this town, guys, and that town is only 1/6 of the map, so it makes it feel like a more casual experience. You feel like you're in the war rather than in a more intimate competitive battle like a 4v4, 5v5, 6v6 like in Call of Duty games. So Battlefield to me is that casual shooter where you just come in and you just play for the fun of it and you just play for the experience rather than playing to do really well. I rarely care if I win or lose in Battlefield. I rarely care if I'm getting a ton of kills. As long as I feel like I'm doing something, if I'm capturing objectives, if I'm defending a little town or a little settlement, if I'm doing that to the best of my ability, I'm likely enjoying the game. And that's what you're going to see in the gameplay here. It's not a fantastic gameplay. It's one of my better gameplay from the beta. And I also chose it because I switched classes a bunch of times. Every couple deaths, I've switched my class. So you guys can see the medic, the support, the recon, or the scout. I'm not sure which it's called in this game, and the assault. So I'm using all of the different classes. I'm using them all to the best of their ability. I'm resupplying my teammates. I'm giving people medic help. I'm sniping people for a little bit, defending a little town, and I'm also trying to neutralize some of these tanks, which are incredibly powerful in Battlefield 5. In fact, let's start off our list right there. The tanks seem a little too strong this time around. Whenever I'm using the assault class, which is your new class for defeating tanks outside of the support class and their anti-tank mines, the assault class just feels weak going up against tanks. Like, you need 2 or 3 assault guys to destroy a tank. Even using the remote explosives, the C4, or the Panzerfaust, I've heard that in the alpha, the Panzerfaust was incredibly powerful and could take out a tank in one shot. Now you can't take out a tank in both shots of the Panzerfaust, and that thing's still going to kill you. So it's very difficult to neutralize enemy vehicles, and that's just one little minor thing that I'd like to bring up before we get into the full list. That was more of a tack on as well as the early access thing, but I'd like to talk more specifically about gameplay elements from Battlefield 5. The first being, it's incredibly hard to spot enemies, and while this gives you that visceral World War II experience, like, you're not going to be going into the real world and just seeing like little red arrows over everybody that's out in the field that's shooting at you. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But in this game, I find it's incredibly hard to spot enemies, as in you'll just walk out and you'll spawn and you'll walk out into the field and you'll just die. And you're dead, and you're like, okay, what just happened? And they'll even show you the after kill they'll highlight the enemy in red, and you still can barely see them. Maybe they're too far away for me, I'm not sure, but characters just seem to blend into the environment incredibly well, and while I played for a few more hours, I kind of got a little more used to it, and I assume that the more you play, the more you'd be acclimated to finding enemies in the environment. But I found that finding enemies in the environment, especially from the start, was incredibly difficult. Like, people just blend in so well. There's not a lot of distinction between an enemy character and the environment. I just found it a little difficult to spot. Next, I'd like to talk about bleeding out, because when you're trying to spot those enemies, you're going to get killed a lot. And I found that the time to kill is incredibly high in this game. More of like a Call of Duty Twitch shooter time to kill, where a couple bullets will hit you, even from an assault rifle, and you're going to die. You'll walk out and you'll die. You can't do a whole lot about it. You're going to die very, very quickly. If someone has the drop on you, if they shoot you in the back, you don't have time to turn around. It's not that kind of game anymore. In previous Battlefield games, the accuracy was a little crazy, like wonky, in that your bullets wouldn't exactly go where you shot them. Now it's a lot more, it's predictive recoil. It's that new fandangled thing that they're putting in all of the first-person shooters, making your weapons incredibly accurate. So if you can use your weapons to the best of their ability, you're going to absolutely smash people and kill them very, very quickly. And there is very little way to revive yourself unless you have a very active medic on your team. You're going to die very quickly. You're not going to regenerate a lot of health, and you're basically going to end up bleeding out. And bleeding out is the most annoying, most time-consuming thing in Battlefield 5, especially if you die a lot. If you're dying a lot like I was when I first started, you're going to be very annoyed with the bleeding out, because you have no choice. Sometimes you don't bleed out. I think if they get a headshot, you don't get to bleed out. But 9 times out of 10, you're sitting there, you're bleeding out, and you have to sit there and wait. And you either have to wait for help, which you can prolong your bleeding out, or you can give up and access your bleeding out. But even when you are giving up, it takes forever. Like, if you want to give up, it should be a one tap of the button and respawn, instead of holding and holding and holding, waiting to give up, waiting to give up. I think most players would agree with me that despite Battlefield games being a little longer, it's simply a waste of time to lie 9 miles behind enemy lines with no squad, no medics anywhere within the vicinity for 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds while you wait to die. I haven't counted, but it feels like an eternity, so I'd like to say between 10 and 20 seconds to give up. A better option would be, if you die, you get a yes or no, wait for a medic, or immediately respawn, or just let us hit the button and immediately respawn rather than waiting for a medic. If you're in an area where there are a ton of medics, by all means, wait and get a medic, but there should be a faster option to immediately respawn rather than waiting and wasting all of that time. Speaking of medics, I'd like to jump to my next entry, something that DICE can't really work on. They can't exactly fix it because it has to do with the people playing the game. Useless teammates are a big problem in Battlefield 5. Stupid medics and no support are the two big ones. Medics will not give you health, and it is incredibly difficult to regenerate health in this game. You can only regenerate so much without a medic support. Medics need to be a little more reserved from the gunfight, and they need to be giving you medicine at all times. When I am playing medic, I am hiding out a little bit, and I'm throwing med packs to my team, and to everyone that I see, I'm throwing them med packs. You get unlimited med packs. Just throw them at everybody. Give them to everyone. Everyone needs a med pack. You want a med pack? You want a med pack? Everybody gets a med pack. That's how the medic should be played. People don't do that. Medics, they'll be too aggressive because they can also heal themselves, and they'll run in and they'll be the hero, and then they'll just die, and then everyone on their squad will die because they're not getting medicine support either. Luckily, as many players as on your team can be medics. You can have 32 medics on your team, so hopefully you get a decent medic. But I found that I am the only decent medic that I've played with in all of the games that I've been playing so far. Nobody wants to use the medic for what it was intended to be used for. Same thing goes for support. Only the problem with support is that nobody plays support. And support is actually incredibly valuable in this game, because my next entry, there is no ammo in Battlefield 5. You get like 2 or 3 clips if you are lucky. If you're using an assault rifle and SMG, that will get you 2, maybe 3 kills before you need ammo. And there are ammo and med packs on the maps in certain areas. I definitely think there should be more of them because of, again, useless teammates not giving you ammo or medicine. But you are going to run out of ammo incredibly quickly. And at first, when I heard of this from the alpha, I was like, oh, what's the big deal? You have 2 or 3 clips. That's not bad. You can probably get away with that for like 5 or 6 kills. No. You get like 2, maybe 3 kills with your magazine unless you're using a sniper rifle, and you're going to be out of ammo. And that's where the support character comes in, because he can refill your ammo. He's got ammo boxes, ammo crates. Again, unlimited ammo. He can just completely throw ammo at everybody. Anyone that wants ammo gets ammo. But nobody plays support. It's the least popular class that I've seen played. And honestly, the LMGs are not bad. Support gets LMGs and shotguns, and the LMGs are decent. So we need more support players. If you are playing and your squad does not have a support player, please try your best to be that support character, even if you don't want to be. Support is incredibly important, and it will make your squad and your team go a lot farther. You just got to be a more considerate player when you're playing Battlefield 5 in terms of being a medic, in terms of being support. And again, watch your ammo count, because you're going to run out of it very quickly. And I've found it very difficult to find weapons on the ground too. Even if you've just killed an enemy and you're like, okay, where's this gun gone? It's going to disappear. And then you're going to get killed while you're looking for his gun because you're out of ammo with your gun. Ammo is a big one on this list. At first, it didn't bother me, and then I was like, holy crap, I'm running out of ammo incredibly quickly, and I can't find any, and it's driving me nuts. No support, no extra ammo crates anywhere on the map. There needs to be more ammo, maybe not as many medicine, because the medics are a more popular class, but support for sure. Ammo crates, there should be more of them spread all over the map, so that players can resupply and get more than 2 kills in a life before running out of ammo. Another class that you should be looking out for is the snipers, the recon class. The snipers are very powerful in Battlefield 5. A lot more powerful than I remember. I do remember Battlefield 4 being incredibly sniper heavy, with maybe 10 out of 32 players all sitting at the back of the map just sniping for the entirety of the game, lying down in one spot sniping. This game brings us back to that. There are very powerful snipers. The snipers, I feel, are easier to use in this game than they've ever been in the Battlefield franchise. And you're going to see a lot of snipers. So maybe they should dial the snipers down, make them a little bit more headshot heavy as they have been in Battlefield past. I don't want to call them overpowered, but they feel very strong and they're very simple to use. So maybe they'll adjust those for the full release. If not, just keep an eye out for those snipers, because they can be deadly, especially given that you can't see them because they're so far away and they blend in with the environment, bringing us full circle to number 1. My last entry on a fairly straightforward list, if I do say so myself. Pretty simple, just scratching the surface. And of course, you can leave your own entries in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your criticisms of the Battlefield 5 open beta, given that anyone can play this. You definitely should have been on this week trying it out. I know Call of Duty looks great, but Battlefield looks great too, and it needs all the help it can get right now. So let me know your criticisms in the comment section down below. But my last entry has to do with a busy user interface and zero tutorial, and this could very much be the reason why there are so many useless teammates not throwing med packs, not throwing support, ammo crates, anything like that, because they weren't told to. And there was no tutorial, no room for a tutorial maybe in the beta. Maybe that's just the beta, and in the full release there's going to be a bigger learning curve, telling players how to play different classes, telling players how to use things in the environment. There was zero tutorial, not even tutorial for creating your class. And I've also noticed that the classes don't carry over. So when you create your My Armory or whatever characters they are in the menu system, if you go to spawn in, it will just give you whatever class was there before. So you actually have to create your class in game rather than creating your class on the menu, because it doesn't carry over for some reason. Maybe that's only on PS4, maybe that's only in certain scenarios, maybe that's only just me and a glitch in my game, but I've noticed that when you create your class, it doesn't carry into game. You actually have to create your class in the spawn menu in game. But I mean, there are so many little things, and the user interface does not help you out a whole lot. It's a World War II game, but the user interface is very futuristic, and there's a lot of blips and blops everywhere on your screen, numbers popping up and symbols, and you're like, holy crap, there's so much going on the screen. And that's all something that you're going to get used to over time, but it's something that's readily right there in your face, and you're like, holy crap, there is a lot going on. And it's very easy to feel overwhelmed, and with no tutorial, that doesn't help. So I'd love to see a tutorial in the full release of the game, but that is my full list of all of the things that were bothering me a little bit, the worst parts of the Battlefield 5 beta. hard to spot enemies, bleeding out, very powerful snipers, useless teammates, not enough ammo, a busy user interface and zero tutorial, as well as very difficult to defeat tanks. But that is just scratching the surface, and I'd love to hear your own criticisms in the comment section down below. Please keep in mind that I am a Battlefield fan, and it's a lot easier to make a worst parts of Battlefield 5 video than it is a best parts of Battlefield 5. By which I mean, it's easier to complain about things than it is to give praise to things. I still love the beta, I'm still enjoying my time with the game, and I have pre-ordered and will be playing in November. So, love to hear you guys in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next Battlefield video.